To have that wiped away today is terrific.
Folks in Belfast are breathing a sigh of relief after Bank of America's decision to keep 1,700 jobs here. But it's a different story in places like Fort Kent, Presque Isle, Farmington, and Portland. Bank of America will close those call centers, putting about 350 people out of work.
They were making a decision, a business decision. They decided that this operation in Maine was where they wanted to do business.
No decision has been made yet about the Brunswick and Orono call centers. They'll stay open for now.
We're very excited that Orono is not on the list, but yeah, it was a little tense. And sorry, and it's quite a blow to those communities that are dependent on those jobs.
Meanwhile, Belfast residents are happy the jobs will stay in town. Some say losing those jobs would have really hurt the area.
I think if people were to leave the facility, it would not be just retail that would be affected, but real estate certainly.
When MBNA came on the scene in the 1990s, it did a lot of good for the region. Mayor Mike Hurley's glad that won't be changing anytime soon.
This finalizes their commitment to Maine and Belfast, and we welcome that tremendously.
That was James Hamill reporting. Bank of America says those 4 call centers will close on March 10th. The state is already talking about finding new businesses to take over the facilities when they close. Turning to other news today, a Pakistani cleric is offering a $1 million reward for killing a cartoonist who drew a picture of Muhammad. He didn't seem aware that a dozen cartoonists drew the pictures, though. Meanwhile, thousands of Pakistani security forces have been deployed nationwide to curb unrest sparked by publication of the cartoons. A massive mudslide has literally erased an entire village this morning in the Philippines. It happened in the eastern part of the country. It's feared that as many as 300 people are dead. The mudslide comes after 2 weeks of steady rain. Angelina Rao has more on the rescue efforts.
There was once a mountain here and a village. After 2 weeks of solid rain, the mountainside disintegrated and a sea of mud engulfed the village that was home to more than 3,000 people. Many of them are now feared dead. Bodies have already been pulled from the mud, young and old. It was 9 a.m. when the mud engulfed the village of Gwinsahugon. Many people were at home. Children had just gotten to school. Seconds later, the entire village was swallowed. The school is gone, the provincial governor told CNN from the scene.
They just brought in the body of a child, about 5 years old, and an old woman.
This area of the eastern Philippines is prone to mudslides during the long rainy season, and the governor said people had been advised to evacuate the area, but few had heeded the warnings. Locals say the mudslide was like an explosion. Officials say a minor earthquake may have triggered it. President Arroyo promised immediate help.
Our thoughts and our prayers are with the people of Southern Leyte today. The full resources of the government are being harnessed to bring the biggest possible rescue and relief resources to you the fastest way possible. Help is on the way. They will come from land, sea, and air.
Scores of rescuers are searching the area despite the risk of more flooding and mudslides, but they're finding more victims than survivors. Angeli Rao, CNN, Hong Kong.
Back in Maine now, University of Maine System Chancellor Joseph Westfall says it's safe to say that there will be no merger of the University of Maine at Augusta and into the larger University of Southern Maine. The University of Maine System strategic plan released in 2004 recommended UMA and USM be merged to save money. But there was a public outcry and political pressure to scuttle the merger of the two campuses. And the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service has reopened the public comment period for a proposal to designate more than 20,000 square miles as critical habitat for the federally threatened Canada lynx. The lynx was listed as a threatened species under the Federal Endangered Species Act back in 2000. Comments will be accepted until April 30th. A final decision on a habitat designation is due by this November. Coming up in just a moment on TV5 News at noon, well, it's going to be a wet and windy day. Todd Simcox is next with a look at our forecast. And Michelle Kwan may be out of the Olympics, but she has a new venture in the works. We'll tell you what she's up to in today's Hollywood Minute. Well, we started off pretty well today.
Yeah.
It looked like the sun was actually going to come out, but no.
Yeah, going downhill from here.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Very quickly. We've already seen the rain coming into the area, and it's going to get a little bit heavier as we go through the afternoon. The big news really with this is the wind and the cold, and we're going to see some damaging wind gusts here during the afternoon. Plan on that. Plan on the potential for some power outages and just some damaging wind all afternoon. So you got to really be careful for that. Let's go to the maps. We've got a lot to talk about this afternoon. Temperatures outside right now running in the mid-30s off to the north. They've been slow to warm, but gradually getting above the freezing mark. 34 Greenville, 36 Millinocket. It's in the mid-40s in Holton. 40s to near 50, though, as you get into Waterville, Bangor, Bar Harbor, Rockland in the warm spot. Calais at 54 degrees. Most areas are going to be in the 40s this afternoon. You might get a few low 50s here and there, but 40s look to do it for most locations. Now, wind speeds out there, that's again going to be the big news this afternoon. Most areas now seeing a 15 to 25 mile an hour wind. However, as we get into the afternoon and our cold front enters the state, we're going to see these increasing. They'll be averaging about 25 to 35 miles an hour this afternoon, and we could see wind gusts, believe it or not, up past 70 miles an hour. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Radar picture this morning, a little bit of mixed precipitation over northern areas. Had some icy roads here to start the day. Now we're just seeing plain old rain showers, just barely hanging on to a mix across far northwestern parts of the state. Otherwise, we're seeing rain coming down at a pretty good clip. And this band here stretching through southern parts of Somerset County on into much of Piscataquis County, into northern parts of Aroostook County as well. So this is all moving eastward, and we're going to see these showers coming through here, and some of them moderate to heavy at times. Wider view of the picture, what I want to show you too is the cold air is back to our west. Notice that's where you start to see the precipitation changing to the lighter pink. That is snow shower activity across New York State. So the warm air, we're seeing the rain across Maine, but that cold air is moving in behind it. That's going to help to change things over to snow showers before it all winds down this evening. So do expect to see some snowflakes later today. Now, areas back across New York State, for instance, Syracuse, New York, near 60 at about 5 o'clock this morning. They're now down to about 32 degrees. So you're talking almost a 30-degree drop in about 6 hours this morning. Here's our cold front entering western New England. This will continue to push its way east. It'll enter western Maine probably about 1:30 this afternoon, and then should be off to our east by later in the evening. So it's a quick shot of precipitation, but that precipitation will come down at a good clip at times. Once we get that change over to snow, we might see some light accumulations over northern areas. Temperatures right now, mild across much of eastern New England. Back to the west, though, we're seeing our temperatures in the 20s. Even a few upper teens back towards Ontario, and that cold air is going to march its way eastward. That's what we're going to have over the weekend. Snowfall today, could see, when we get that change over to snow, maybe a 1 to 3 inch snowfall northern and northwestern sections. Most areas, though, looking at a dusting at best. Clearing skies back across the upper Midwest. That heads our way for the weekend. So the weekend, despite the cold, we'll actually see some sunshine and a gusty northwest wind all weekend long. That means frigid temperatures with highs Saturday and Sunday only in the teens to around 20. That northwest wind has got a lot of cold air to feed off of over central Canada. That's what you're going to see here the weekend. So plan on bundling up Saturday, Sunday. Gale warning in effect for the boaters. South to southwest winds 25 to 35 knots. Could see wind gusts in excess of 65 knots this afternoon. Wave heights build to 11 to 15 feet. Invisibility is 1 to 3 nautical miles. So your forecast, rain tapering to snow showers. Again, some light accumulations possible. Watch for those wind gusts in excess of 60 miles an hour this afternoon. 39 to 49 for your highs early this afternoon, falling to the 20s and 30s by evening. Snow showers ending this evening, then clear to partly cloudy, single numbers and low teens. Quick look at your 5-day forecast. Dry this weekend. Very cold, though. Wind chills below 0 much of the weekend. And early next week, our temperatures start to moderate just a bit.
All right. Thanks, Todd.
Okay.
We'll be right back. In today's Hollywood Minute, while you won't see Michelle Kwan skating in the Olympics, you'll soon see her doing work for Walt Disney. Plus, drugs, alcohol, and rehab, they're all part of actor Philip Seymour Hoffman's past. Brooke Anderson has the details.
He hasn't spanked me in years.
Capote star Philip Seymour Hoffman credits his acting success in part to his sobriety, which came about 16 years ago. He talks about his substance abuse in an interview on 60 Minutes, which airs Sunday on CBS. Hoffman is the favorite for the Best Actor Oscar next month. Sir Elton John has won an apology and an undisclosed financial settlement from a British newspaper. The publication reported that John acted arrogant and rude at one of his AIDS charity functions last year. According to the singer's people, John was embarrassed and distressed. fearing it could hamper his fundraising efforts and sued for libel. Figure skater Michelle Kwan is now a Disney employee. She'll be a celebrity representative doing TV appearances as well as promotions for Disney's various companies. The skating champ pulled out of the Winter Olympics Sunday because of a groin injury. And that's the Hollywood Minute. I'm Brooke Anderson.
In sports this noon, Maine takes on Hockey East leader Boston College in a 2-game series that kicks off tonight in Orono. The Black Bears are in 5th place in the Hockey East standings, and the weekend series will help determine whether Maine can edge into the top 4 and get a home ice advantage for the conference tournament. You can watch Saturday night's game right here on TV5 starting at 7 o'clock. The women are back on the ice for hockey's semifinals in the Olympics. The U.S. and Canada remain heavy favorites to meet in the gold medal game. The Americans face Sweden and the Canadians play Finland. The U.S. and Canada have combined to outscore their opponents 54-4 so far in that tournament. Still to come in our lunch break special, we'll preview the local theater production of Jesus Christ Superstar. That's in our weekend planner coming up next. And if you think taking calcium supplements is going to help you fight osteoporosis, well, a new study indicates otherwise. We'll explain coming up. Today's lunch break, it's time for our weekend planner, and today we're highlighting a rock opera that was born 36 years ago, and it's all coming to life at the University of Maine this weekend. We're talking about Jesus Christ Superstar. Joining us today are Josh Schmershel, who plays the part of Jesus, and Rebecca Bailey, who plays the part of Mary. Thank you so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
Now, Jesus Christ Superstar, had you guys ever heard this musical before?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, it's just such a great show, and I think that our parents were born of that generation, so the music always, I think, ended up in the library somewhere in the house. So the music is old but new, and so we've heard it. Yeah.
So a rock opera, and this really appeals to people of all generations, really.
Definitely. We've had a lot of response from like parents and older generations, as well as a lot of students. I've heard a lot of hype all over campus about it, so we should have a good response.
So very cool. And opening night last night, how did that go?
Very successful, very successful. So we're really excited for the run. Full house, and a lot of great comments and a lot of great responses to the production itself.
So what's it like to take on these parts of Jesus and Mary Magdalene?
It's not that easy, but even more so, there's an ensemble of about 47, so it's a huge ensemble, and I think that's what makes our jobs a little bit easier. But with everybody, we really kind of can get down to the nitty gritty and show somebody or the audience a great show.
Yeah, and it's nice to know that you have 50 people supporting you at all times. Someone's got your back no matter where you are in the show, so it's nice.
Very cool. Now, performances this weekend as well as next weekend. So, and we can put up those times. Tonight at 7:30, tomorrow night at 7:30, Sunday at 2 p.m., and then the following weekend you start off on Thursday, Friday, Saturday at 7:30, Sunday at 2 o'clock. You guys are going to be exhausted.
Oh, yeah, we've been in rehearsals for months already, and now it's time to, but there's plenty of opportunities for people to see the shows, and we encourage them to call ahead for tickets to the Maine Center for the Arts box office. The show is actually in the Houck Auditorium at UMaine, but, our pre-sale has been going very well.
All right. Well, thank you guys for coming in the middle of all your performances, and good luck to you. Break a leg. It's a great musical with great music.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
We'll be right back. Some surprising news for women taking calcium supplements, and maybe if you're old and married, you can die of a broken heart. Here's Christy Feig with today's Health Watch.
We've all heard that calcium is good for your bones, but is it? A new study in the New England Journal of Medicine looked at more than 36,000 postmenopausal women. Half took 1,000 milligrams of calcium and 400 units of vitamin D, which helps calcium absorption, daily, while the other half took a dummy pill.
This study shows that postmenopausal women, particularly women over the age of 60, have a modest benefit on reducing loss of bone mass at the hip and their risk for hip fractures.
But the calcium-vitamin D combination did not reduce the risk of other types of fractures. And contrary to previous studies, it didn't decrease the risk of colon cancer either. Elderly people whose spouses are hospitalized for serious illness are at a significantly greater risk of death themselves, according to another study in the New England Journal of Medicine. Researchers studied more than 500,000 couples for 9 years. The study found the greatest risk is within 30 days of the spouse's hospitalization and is higher with some debilitating ailments like hip fracture, dementia, and stroke. Experts say the increased risk might be a result of concerns over loss of support or added stress. For Health Watch, I'm Christy Fye.
Time now for today's Trivia Cafe question. Paul McCartney has always used his middle name. What is his first name? The answer when we return. Today's trivia question, as Paul McCartney has always used his middle name, and what is his first name? The answer is James. Well, from James McCartney to James Morris. He's here to join us. He's here to give us a look at what's coming up tonight on TV5 News. Hi, Jim.
Sure, hi, Sharon. And by the way, his first name I think would be Sir, wouldn't it? Sir James Paul. But anyways, 5 years cancer-free. That's a huge milestone for cancer patients. You'll hear from a Hancock County woman who has reached that milestone. And are you ready for some basketball? Actually, a lot of basketball. The high school tourneys have tipped off, or they will pretty soon, and we'll have coverage from Bangor and Augusta for you tonight.
And just in a sentencing for David Harridan, we told you earlier he was convicted of killing his girlfriend, 35-year-old Maxine Witham. He's been sentenced to spend 52 years in prison. We'll have much more on that story tonight on TV5 News at 5 and 6. Todd joins us with a look at our forecast and a wild, windy day out there.
That's for sure. Wind is really going to be the big news. Wind and cold, really. Our temperatures are going to be falling from where they are now to the 20s and 30s here by evening, so likely seeing some slippery travel for the evening commute. Look for the rain that we're seeing now also to taper off to some snow showers. Over the weekend, it's dry. We will see some sun, but temperatures are only going to be in the teens Saturday and Sunday. When you factor in a pretty strong west-northwest wind all weekend long, we'll likely see your wind chills down to near or below zero both Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures moderate a little bit as we get into early next week. President's Day, of course, and it's school vacation week next week. And right now it looks like fairly quiet weather, at least through the middle part of next week. No big storms in sight. So far, so good once we get through today. Remember today, scattered power outages. Travel may be a little bit hazardous this afternoon as well, so just prepare yourself for that.
Hold on to your hat today and
That's right.
bundle up on the weekend.
Umbrellas, all that stuff.
All right. Thanks, Todd.
Okay.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great afternoon.